Lowered expectations.
Do you enjoy firecrackers, shooting small furry animals with big guns, and of course, wrestling? Is your ideal date anyone not directly related to you? That's what the Lowered Expectations dating service is here to help you find. Our catalog of killers is packed with singles just like you, where you can pick up your own one-eyed dreamboat. Henry, number 690.
Howdy, I'm Henry, also known as the One-Eyed Drifter, hailing from Blacksburg, Virginia, but I frequent the luxurious penitentiaries all across this great US of A. I'm what you would consider a real Southern Prince Charming, but I ain't just about getting in them britches. Now my teeth, for what's left of them, may be a little crooked, and I may only have one eyeball, and I may stink to high heaven, but I can still turn a woman on hotter than warm butter or mama's biscuits with all the fixings, if you know what I mean. Believe you me, you'll have a hankering for me if you let me into that pudding. If you were my sugar booger, I'd treat you like that sugar cube and let you melt my mouth. How about this? How about I won't stop till the Chevy's stuck in the mud, if you know what I mean. I'd love to take you around down under and show you all the best hen houses out here, because I love all God's creatures, but I love killing them even more.
Okay. So, welcome, Kendra. Special guest.
Great to be here.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for bringing some booze.
All right, so I know you guys been watching the YouTube. We've been doing the little clips instead of the full episodes. We have the full episodes on there for our Patreon members. So if you want to see the full episodes each week, go to talkmurder.com/join.
And you must be a Taco Nacho or Supremo to see those videos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and August 1st, which is next Sunday. Sundays are our recording days, so we need to pick a time, probably like 1 p.m. We're going to have these live streamed on Patreon, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we are finally doing that. We have the videos recording now. We're going to do like little snippets, and we got the studio all nice. So look forward to that if you're a member, supporter of us. If not, you can just see the highlights of each case on YouTube. So that's all I got.
Perfect.
Yep.
Welcome to our newest Patreon members. We have 2 new Supremos this week, Nicholas and Laura. Thank you very much for joining. And we've got a very special surprise shot request for Dee this week, who upped once again to be a Supremo member. So
thanks, Dee.
We are doing a surprise shot just for Dee.
Well, Dee, this one goes out to you. Surprise shots. Oh, that was weird. I have to start over. You get 1.5 songs. Surprise shots. Surprise shots. We don't know what they are because they're a surprise.
Cheers, Dee.
Requested the specific.
She did not request the specific one. I actually picked this one based on our Bud Light throwback seltzers that you bought us, Jen.
Oh, I'm interested, but
cheers.
Blue raspberry liquor?
Yes.
Vodka?
Yes.
Everyone, thank you so much for going to the blog. I've been trying to write better, or just less shitty, I guess. It's been getting a little better. But thanks everyone for sharing it. We got some comments for the Tyler Hadley party story. Remember the
killer party, bruh.
17-year-old that threw the party in his house and killed his parents and left him in the next room. This comment's from Will. He says, fun fact, my mom went over to that party 2 or 3 times to tell them to turn down the music because it was keeping me awake whilst recovering from surgery.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's crazy. His mom went over there.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
She lives to tell the tale.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he killed his parents before the party. So, like, the guests were safe. They were just in the house with dead bodies.
But still, like, it was an adult, too.
Yeah.
He could have wanted her dead.
Crazy.
And I will say Kendall sent us a message on Patreon thanking us for covering the hammer, the other hammer case.
Oh,
I'm forgetting the name.
3 Guys, 1 Hammer.
3 Guys, 1 Hammer. That's
Yeah,
how we
that
got
was
in the hole.
interesting. Too bad we're not doing that one today for you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
So that one is on YouTube. We have the whole video there, but it's blurred out, and it is fucking terrible, man. I mean, anything that says 3 Guys, 1 Hammer, I mean, you know,
It's not going to end well.
it's pretty bad. All right, let's get started. This is a crazy case that, I don't know, this one really pissed me off. Not because it's bad or gruesome or anything. It's just really fucking hard to follow. And you're about to see why here in a second. But I think the best place to start this is of one pretty infamous murder that happened.
Ooh.
And we'll put some of these clippets on YouTube. And like I said, for the supporters out there, the full video will be for you. We're not going to edit it or anything. Unless I say something stupid, then I'll edit it, obviously.
But only him. Correct.
Yeah. It's been a frustrating 5 days since 6-year-old Adam Walsh was.
Y'all know who
seen.
this is?
His disappearance has prompted community-wide concern in South Broward.
Do you know who that is?
Late this afternoon, volunteers met
Adam
with
Walsh?
Adam's parents to continue their search. Close to tears, John Walsh stood on a car asking people not to give up hope.
We've searched and searched for Adam, and we haven't found a body. So everybody.
He is
thinks he's
very
alive.
distraught
We
right
do
now.
too.
Is he from the
And,
Midwest
we
or
feel
Wisconsin,
that
perhaps?
Since you people have searched so hard,
Minnesota,
the best thing
perhaps?
we can do now is get these flyers in everybody's hands because the police are.
He looks like one of the Bradys.
Nobody's really come forth, and the clues.
All right, who you're looking at right now on the screen, and I'll put all these photos on talkmurder.com. This is episode 246.
Ooh.
Jesus Christ. What am I doing with my life? 246 of these damn things. Who you're looking at right now is Adam Walsh. And because y'all don't know who that is, y'all obviously don't know true crime. You haven't heard that name before, Walsh? Adam Walsh's case was closed in 2008. However, this photo, as you can tell, did not come from 2008. This was a photo in the 80s. July 27th, 1981. This is 6-year-old Adam Walsh. He was in Hollywood, Florida, at the mall.
Okay.
And if you've heard of that mall before, that is or was a popular spot for a serial killer, Jeffrey Dahmer. He would always be around that mall.
really?
However, this is not a story about Jeffrey Dahmer. The serial killer that killed this kid, Adam Walsh, was at the mall on July 27th, 1981, the same day that Jeffrey Dahmer was. However, they don't know each other, or they didn't know each other at the time. It was just coincidental that both serial killers were spotted around the same mall. So
That's
basically,
an incredible coincidence.
so basically, stay the fuck away from that mall.
Is it still open? Malls are slowly dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this one's. I don't think this one's open anymore. I couldn't find anything on it.
Well, July 27th, 1981 is actually
Like-
on the day of the release of this episode
Yeah.
will be the 30th anniversary.
The case was closed in 2008. 6-year-old Adam Walsh. Now, this story gets a little crazy, and please try to follow me. But the father officially in 2008, they've been searching for his killer for 30 years now. They officially came to the conclusion, and his father is on the video, on the national video, talking about it, saying yes, this man who we're going to talk about tonight, this serial killer is the one that killed my son. We are happy, not happy, but we are satisfied that we know this is the killer. The reason I'm harking on this is because a lot of other experts do not believe that this was the killer tonight. In fact, this killer admitted it, recanted it, then re-admitted it on his deathbed. Okay. No one knows if he's a killer. A lot of people think Dahmer killed him. This kid was last seen in the Sears parking lot. The stories conflict here, but basically July 27th, 1981, he was playing Atari, and I don't know if you've ever been to Sears back in the day, but I wasn't there when Atari was there, but Dreamcast, I remember we used to go play Dreamcast at Sears all the time. They would have this little TV in this glass case, and you would just play. He was there playing Atari. However, there were some older kids in front of him, and he never really got to play. And these older kids were being loud. They were causing a ruckus, fighting with the Atari or whatever, fighting over the controller. The security guard finally came up and said, all right, everyone get the hell out. You guys are making too much noise. All these kids who were 10 to 12 years old were hanging out together. However, Adam Walsh, 6 years old, he walked off from his mom after his mom was shopping for, I think it was lamps or vacuum cleaners or something. He was just going to go play Atari. He got kicked out as well. But guess what? He's not a part of this older group. So he's just standing there at 6 years old in the Sears parking lot. And either a blue van, if you're in the Jeffrey Dahmer case, pulls up, or a Cadillac pulls up, if you're in this killer we're talking about tonight's case. However, the father says, quote, today is a reaffirmation of the fact that he didn't die in vain. End quote. An emotional Mr. Walsh said, quote, for all the other victims who haven't gotten justice, I say one thing, don't give up hope. He also added, this is a wonderful day in spite of why we're here, end quote. Now, he didn't die in vain. If you would like to say that, his death did bring other fruitful things and other cases being solved. His father, John Walsh, is the host of America's Most Wanted.
Oh.
Y'all did not know that.
Yeah, I did.
I was wondering if there was a connection with the name.
Oh my God.
Well, I didn't
You
recognize...
saw his face.
I didn't recognize him, but
he looks just like him, just 30 years younger.
Well, okay, actually, I
did
messed
not
up.
see
I messed up.
similarity.
It's 40 years, because it's 40 years. But that's okay.
Remember the Declaration of Independence math?
If you look at the... Yeah, it is 40 years, you asshole, and you got me all messed up.
I'm sorry. I'm still thinking that it's 2010. I still think that 1990 was 10 years ago. It's fine.
Also true.
If you go back and watch that video again, you can see how emotional John Walsh was. He gets on a car. You got to be dead set on finding your son. He gets on a car. Listen, everyone, thank you so much. Please do not stop looking. We haven't found a body yet. That's a good sign. Okay, 2 weeks later, they do find they do find his son's head, severed head.
Ooh.
So after that, he started America's Most Wanted because he said, quote, it's enough, end quote. That's his famous kind of words for starting it.
Is
It's
America's
enough.
Most Wanted still on?
Oh yeah, it's still on. I think they just brought it back, actually.
Kind of like Unsolved Mysteries and stuff.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure though, but I know he is still married to the same woman,
Good for
50
them.
years, and this is 2008 when they officially declared the case closed. 2008, and a lot of the time was spent on Jeffrey Dahmer because they believe Jeffrey Dahmer abducted him because Jeffrey Dahmer was also in the exact location of where the body was or where the head was found.
I always thought that Jeffrey Dahmer was in Milwaukee and did all his murders there.
Yeah, I thought he was in Wisconsin.
Well, he was at this mall. I'm telling you that right now.
Crazy.
I haven't done his story, but he was at this mall.
What a freaking coincidence.
He actually said that he didn't do it, and he has nothing to live for. He was already on death row. It's not like he's going to get any special treatment. In fact, he would get more treatment if he can confess to it. But he said something like, if I did it, I would tell you. I've told you all these other ones. I didn't do it.
Did John Walsh think that Jeffrey Dahmer was involved since he was such a big name?
Yeah, for a time. And the big thing about the case was there was a blue van spotted by someone that was passing by, a blue van.
A blue van was there. He just wasn't the one that abducted this particular child.
A blue van apparently was there, and they did see someone that looked like Dahmer dumping a white cooler out, which is also in the evidence. The blue van, apparently Dahmer worked when he was living in Florida at a company that had a blue van that you could just take whenever. Now, I don't know. There's books about it. I haven't done the Dahmer case. I have no idea. However, we're going tonight with the killer that John Walsh, the creator of America's Most Wanted, says that killed his son. So we're going to take that for tonight.
All right.
And this dude did confess, even though he recanted, and then confessed again on his deathbed.
See, Kendra, we could have died yesterday. We got into a blue van yesterday.
We did get into a blue van with two strangers.
Did you get free candy?
I feel like with 246 episodes under our belts, you would not have gotten into a van with a stranger.
I was not walking.
Oh my God.
They had a kid, so it seems safe unless they had kidnapped him. So
We have done a story where they had kids, though,
Yeah.
to like make it feel.
But also there were
Okay.
two of us.
Yeah.
And before I actually got into the van, I looked to make sure there was no one in the back. It was just one row of seats. There was no one in the back that could overpower us.
Well, I'm glad you have
And the
made
child
it
was
to
in a car
episode
seat.
246 today.
another car had passed us and offered us a ride, and we said no. So
He was
we were
creepy.
using judgment.
Okay. So,
If there can be any judgment in accepting rides from strangers.
I can't believe you guys said that.
That was actually my plan to get a ride back. She was like, well, Kendra and I went to this float on Edison River yesterday, just for some context. And she was like, so how are we going to get back? And I was like, well, I'm thinking that someone will come up to us, see us walking, feel bad, and then offer us a ride. And then for the first 15 minutes of us walking, everyone just drove past us until the guy stopped, the creepy old guy with the beard in the pickup truck. And we were like, no, thank you. And then we got into the van. Of course we did.
Of course you got into the van.
I mean, in our defense, too, we would have called for a ride, but there was no service.
True. Oh.
So,
Also making it worse on us, though, because we had no service.
but most people aren't bad.
That's true.
This is the man who John Walsh says killed his son. Have you seen this
does
guy?
that resemble the guy in the
guy
pickup
in the
truck?
pickup truck. It
That
totally
offered you the
does.
first ride.
This guy is a fucking monster, man. A monster.
So I take it, Joe. Wait, what's
John
the kid's name?
Walsh.
Joe Walsh is the kid.
Adam Walsh.
Adam Walsh, yeah.
Was not the only victim here.
Oh, no. These victims, well, there's 2 serial killers tonight. And
Ooh, a double feature.
if you take their word for it, one of them has over 3,000.
What?
But we don't know about that.
You think that's an exaggeration?
Yeah.
I hope it is.
This is Otis Toole, Tooler.
Oh.
Or a lot of people down south call him Otis. That's his name down here. However, the Northerners I've seen in videos call him Otis. So I don't know, but
Is it one
I have
T or
never-
two?
it's 2 T's.
Oh.
It is 2 T's on his birth record, even though in his police interviews, when they ask him to spell it, he only puts 1 T in there.
Huh.
Which is kind of crazy.
Well, if I was reading it and saw 2 T's, I probably would pronounce it Otis. Like
Yeah.
otter.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't see odors.
PB&J Otter.
Yeah, but describe this guy for us.
Oh, he has a bad overbite.
Gap in his teeth, receding hairline, probably late 40s or 50s. Scruff, dark hair,
Plaid shirt.
his drooping eyebrows and lids, and his eyes are a little too far spaced in his head.
He is a big, big man, a giant, 6'8".
Whoa!
He's a big man.
Did he play some b-ball?
No.
I saw that the newest Space Jam is out,
It's okay. It's pretty
and
good.
I don't know. Can you top the original?
No, you can't top the original. And
I loved the original.
I am not a LeBron James fan, but I
Yeah.
watched it for Looney Tunes, and I will say it was not bad. But the thing that made it was all the cameos from the Warner Brother characters, like other Warner Brother characters. It's worth watching, I'd say.
Okay.
Now, a little bit more about John Walsh's career.
The
And
shorts, Michael, the shorts.
when Adam Walsh was found, John Walsh, obviously, if you watch the video of him there, he's about to just break down. But he's got the fortitude and the will to actually get everyone going to find his son. He was not only on America's Most Wanted, but he started, him and his wife, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
Oh, the board that's always up in the Walmarts?
I don't shop at Walmart. I shop at Target. In fact, I don't shop at all, actually.
I was going to say,
I shop on Amazon
Yeah.
because that shit's in the bed. But no, I don't know, Jen. Tell us about Walmart.
I mean, whenever you walk into the store, there's like the pictures of all the
Missing
children. Yeah.
He also created the Missing Children Act in 1982.
I mean, that's awesome that he did so much as a result of his personal tragedy.
In 1983, Otis confessed to killing. Now, this is after they've been down the Dahmer Road for 2 years. And this was a big case. This photo you're seeing of Adam Walsh with the baseball, that was, I mean, everyone knows that if you were alive back then. Like, if I showed that to my mom, she would know exactly who that is.
I do remember seeing like Supremo's request, the Tool, and like it's a big name, and I guess it's because of Joe Walsh.
No, it's not because of him.
No?
Mm-mm. No, it's a big name because of their confessions.
Okay.
There was a show on Netflix I was going to get to in a second. I didn't watch it, but I think it's 5-6 episodes called The Confession Killers or The Confession Killer. And we're going to get into why they confess so much. If you were to believe Otis and his counterpart, Henry Lee Lucas, you would believe that they not only shot Jimmy or they not only killed Jimmy Hoffa,
The mob boss.
the
right?
mob boss, but they also personally delivered the poison to Jim Jones that killed all of his supporters.
What?
They confessed to all of this stuff, and not only did they confess, but they were taken as truthful.
But like those things, you don't think were true?
How is he going to go all the way to Jonestown?
I don't know.
That's like
I'm
in a
just saying,
different
like,
country.
they're making these claims. Do they have any basis in truth?
So they're
or-
in Florida, then they go to Chicago to kill Jimmy Hoffa. Is that where Jimmy Hoffa was? Is in
I
Chicago?
don't know.
thought so.
I have no idea about that
And
guy.
then they're going to go all the way to the other country, which I don't even remember where it was, to Jonestown. And then,
It was in like Central America, wasn't it?
yeah, and then they're going to put the Kool-Aid poison in the Kool-Aid and kill Jim Jones. And
Did you call it Kool-Aid?
Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid.
That's what I said.
You said Kool-Aid.
Oh yeah.
Kool-Aid.
Like Cooter-Aid.
No.
No. Kool-Aid.
They confessed to so many murders that there was a transportation issue. Okay, you killed this guy in Ohio, but how did you get to California in less than 4 hours and kill this person too?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Like, there's just no way. But the fact is, the police bought every nugget of it. And can you guess why they did that? Why would they just take him at face value?
Because
So
they
they could
could
close the
solve some
case?
cases, yeah. He traveled the country on a private jet, staying in fancy hotels, eating in restaurants and cafes everywhere that he stopped, and generally being treated like royalty. In the police stations where he spent most of his time during each phase of confessions, he was given free rein to wander about, even being granted security codes to open doors. He wore his own clothes, rarely had to wear handcuffs, and was treated more like a consultant than a convict.
All right, before I go any further, I need to credit this author, Ryan Green. We read a bunch of his books before. He is known for his unique writing style, his entertaining writing style. So this is his book, Trust Me, by Ryan Green, the true story of confession killer Henry Lee Lucas. So everything you're going to be reading, Nicole,
Okay.
is from this book. This was Henry Lee Lucas that was traveling the country. And if you see him, the pictures, I'll put the pictures on talkmurder.com. He's wearing like a nice suit. He's laughing with the cops because guess what? There's an incentive for the police, right? They're solving all these cases. You know, all these cases. I mean, this guy is just, yep, I killed him. I killed him. Huh?
Like checking the boxes, like case closed.
Yeah, but so there's an incentive for him to do that. Plus, this guy's on death row. He doesn't have anything to lose. Or actually, no, I'll take that back. He wasn't on death row, but then, and this is why they call him the confession killer. If you watch the thing on Netflix, and the reason this case pisses me off so much is because I'll try to research a murder, get really into it, and then it's like, oh, he didn't do it. But the confession killer, that's why they call him that. He confessed so much that finally they're like, okay, death penalty since you killed this person. And then he's like, whoa, I didn't know that was an option. I thought I was just going to extend my already 300 plus years in prison. 1 second, I want to recant everything. Okay, so now think about it. You have a killer that's confessed to all this, and then he recants everything. You can't trust anything anymore.
Right.
At all. So, in fact, let me get to that now. You guys are getting me all freaking... Anyway, I was talking about...
I really want to watch this documentary now.
I was talking about John Walsh. Got one other thing to say. In 2006, President Bush signed the Adam Walsh Child Protection and Safety Act, expanded the National Sex Offender Registry, and stronger penalties for crimes against children. Adam Walsh was in the Sears parking lot. He gets lost outside. Otis picks him up in his car, and he says something to the effect of, "Are you lost, little boy?" Or actually, he calls everyone Sugar. And if you watch him in his interview, he'll call him Sugar. Are you Sugar? Are you lost?
A man should not say sugar.
Unless he's talking to a female, but even still, please don't.
Now,
You
Otis...
better not, man, I don't know. Better not call me sugar.
I guess I shouldn't say should call a female sugar. I'm just saying it's more common.
Yeah, it definitely, yeah. All weird. No.
Now, basically, he gets in the car. He thinks he's going to be in trouble because, number one, he's not where he's supposed to be. He's 6 years old. His mom told him to stay in this one area. However, the security guard kicked everyone out. He's not going to say no to an adult. He is outside right now, and this man pulls up saying, "Do you need to find your mama? I can drive you to where your mama is. Just go ahead and get in." Then he quickly realizes that this man was lying to him. I mean, he's 6 years old. He doesn't know what he's doing, you know. Otis's confession, and I'll just break it down the least gruesome I can. He started punching him in the face when Adam started crying until he thought he was dead. And the little 6-year-old was dead. And this is a quote from the book that we're reading tonight. He said, "He wrapped his fingers around little Adam's tiny throat and squeezed as tightly as he could until he could feel the bones."
Ugh.
He then takes him to a spot on the Florida Turnpike, there's a guy on the YouTube video, which I'll put on talkmurder.com. I don't know the guy's name, but I'll link his video on there. He actually, I guess he goes to different crime scenes, but he goes and films the area, which is now right off a big interstate. It was an interstate at the time where this murder happened, but now it's like expanded, a lot of traffic. And he goes down there. There's a little drainage ditch, and it's all wooded and grassy area. And, you know, this was in 1981. Some of the stuff is still there. Like there was this pole that was sticking up that was in the police photos that's still there. Anyway, that's where they found little Adam's head. And they never found his body, even to this day. Otis said he buried it at his mom's house. However, they couldn't find it. So no one knows if he actually killed him or not, to be honest. A lot of people think he didn't kill him.
And that it was Dahmer.
But on his deathbed confession, he did confess to his niece that he did. So, and plus John Walsh, he believes that he did. So, you know, who's to say he didn't? He then, once Adam is quiet enough, they pull off to the side of the highway, and they're kind of in this little drainage ditch area.
Mm-hmm.
Otis takes a machete out of the trunk of his Cadillac, and it took him 3 cuts to take the boy's head off. The reason he did that, why would you think he would cut his head off?
So they can't identify him as easily?
Yeah, so this is one reason why John Walsh and the detectives believe that it was Otis, because Otis learned this from his friend Henry Lee Lucas about cutting the head off, because of the dental records at the time was a sure way to identify a body. And how are you going to put someone in prison and for murder if you can't even identify who it was? If you just find someone's body, you can't identify anything off that. Now, you know, we got fingerprints and other types of DNA and stuff like that. In his first confession, he claimed that he took the corpse, the body, and took an abandoned refrigerator. This is part of his MO. He puts the body in the refrigerator and then uses it like an incinerator. basically lights the body on fire and it burns in that controlled area until it's nothing but ash types of thing. Now, they did find blood in his car. Now, this is strange, but DNA wasn't there where we could check it just yet. 1996, it was DNA. We can check it. However, when a detective was assigned to the case, the carpet was mysteriously gone. So no one actually knows if he did it or not. All right, so this is from Jacksonville.com. Case closed, but questions remain. Questions linger about Adam Walsh's death. And it says, can't really read this thing. 1 second.
I can read it.
Good for you.
Okay. If you can read it, read it.
Do it.
A quarter century ago, Adam Walsh's second killer,
I thought you were kidding, and I'm like incredibly impressed.
I
that you
know.
can
You
see
must
that.
have like 40/20 vision.
accompanied police to a bus
Just
bench
read the
outside-
yellow, Jen.
Oh.
That's why I haven't any...
Then Otis Toole went with authorities to Turnpike where he said Adam cried for his mother. Later, they stopped at a bridge where a Jacksonville resident said he hacked off the boy's head.
Okay, now this, I'm going to kind of go through this real quick. This
you were
is
just showing off. That's all. You wanted to show you could read all of it.
No, I got confused. I'm sorry.
I'll put all this on Talkmore.
I'm impressed.
I'll put all this on Talkmore.com, but there was something that came out called the Lucas Report. This is the only time they ever done this, I'm pretty sure, but they actually formed a task force for Henry Lee Lucas to prove the thousands of murders he committed wrong. There was a task force just to prove it wrong. Because think about it. All right, you confessed to all these murders you didn't commit. What does that mean? That means some asshole that did commit the murders is on the street right now. So they have to go back and figure out if he actually did any of these. That's fucking bad. That police department should be ashamed of themselves, man.
It's a lot of wasted work because if they took it seriously to begin with, they wouldn't have to disprove and then reprove. And
Yeah, and this, what you're seeing now, and I'll put this on Talkmore.com, this is from the Hollywood Police Department. It's just his confession. Let me see. This is from Dr. Ronald Wright's finding. The victim was decapitated lying face down. The victim's head was chopped off close to the skull. The victim received blows to the face around the eyes and had fractures to his nose, which some of this stuff wasn't put in the police report. So the fact that he was punching him, they believe his story, stuff like that. Dr. Wright believes the child was dead before decapitation. Dr. Wright's findings are that the head was severed in 5 blows. I said 3. Dr. Wright's findings are that the instrument used was probably a machete-type tool, and he advised that the perpetrator had to use 2 hands on the machete for the necessary force. Holy Jesus Christ. Dr. Wright's findings are that the perpetrator had to be right-handed and was probably decapitating the victim from the victim's right side. So I'll put that on Talkmore.com if you guys want to see it. But that's as far as we're going into the Adam Walsh case, because that is actually not the story tonight. This story is about 2 people. It's hard to actually fit them together, but that's what I'm trying to do tonight.
that's why it's a 2-parter.
Yeah, 2-parter.
Ooh.
2-parter. They won't be very long each, probably 45 minutes. But the reason Otis Toole gave for killing the 6-year-old Adam Walsh is because he missed his best friend, Henry Lee Lucas.
What?
Not only his best friend, but his lover. And it was a unrequited love.
Oh, well, that's sad for him.
That is, yeah.
Because
I don't know how to describe that.
Unrequited love?
No, I definitely know what unrequited love is, but I'm just saying.
I mean, I could go. How much time do you have?
That he, was one homosexual and the other heterosexual, and that's why it was unrequited.
what the hell, y'all drank all the beer?
There's more.
Y'all drank all that damn beer? There's like 10 cans on this damn table.
Yes. Kendra, are you ready for another while I go get John another?
All right, who you're looking at now is 10-year-old Frida. This is the niece of Otis Toole.
And I guess that this is his demise because he kills somebody he knows.
No, this has nothing to do with I'm actually introducing this. I'm actually introducing you guys, the audience, to Henry Lee Lucas through Otis's niece. Now, this isn't how Otis and Henry met, but I think that this is the best possible breaking point because I'm going to do 2 episodes with these. The first one, we're going to focus extensively on Henry Lucas's background. The second one is going to be on Otis's background. They're both equally fucked up. One probably more than the other, but they're just both ridiculous. So I definitely want to do both, but it is really hard it's really hard to map out the story when there's so many moving parts. These guys go all over the nation killing people, and half of them are false confessions. Some of them are real. The criminologists today believe that between the two, they killed 40. That we know they've killed people. There's no doubt about that.
They just didn't kill 3,000 people.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. And that is a huge disservice to
families of victims,
everyone. Yeah, because they're still victims that no one knows. And the killer is literally probably still walking on the street because they just took him at face value. And they were like, well, how does he know so much about the case? Well, you read the thing. He was flying in private jets. He had no handcuffs on. He got to look at the case files, for freak's sake. How do you think he knows so much about it? You know? Anyway, so this is 10-year-old Frida. This is the niece of Otis Toole. So Henry Lee Lucas looks at this girl right here and finds her very attractive.
Oh, no.
And this is Henry Lee Lucas right here, if you want to describe him.
He looks like a Disney villain.
It's almost like he's got a bad Elvis hairstyle.
He does look like a Disney villain. Yeah, he looks like Elvis.
Really rosy cheeks, red face, and some missing teethers.
Would you believe if I tell you this guy had a way with the ladies?
Before, after he lost his teeth.
I bet he was a charmer.
He was a charmer.
I bet he made the ladies laugh.
Now, a thing about Henry Lee Lucas, as I'll get into in pretty good detail, is he only has one eye. And his one eye seeps out this pussy stuff that smells very putrid.
And ladies love it.
Yeah.
Either you look past that, then, you know.
But he had a heart of gold, except not because he's a killer.
Yeah. This is where I'm starting the story. They are on a killing spree. Henry Lee Lucas and Otis Toole. Together. Because that's what they love doing. And
who was in love with who?
Otis Toole, who we're going to talk about next week, had very intense love for Henry Lee Lucas. Otis Toole is a 100% homosexual. Henry Lee Lucas, I don't even think he's bisexual, but he did entertain that every once in a while.
Got it.
Yeah, exactly. So you'll see here in a second.
Maybe he's bi-curious.
Well, they did have sex a lot, but I think that was just to please Otis.
Interesting. Okay.
Otis,
like a control dominance thing.
Otis, once they meet, and I'll tell you how they meet here in a little bit, but once they meet, Otis was completely infatuated with Henry Lee Lucas. In love with him, but he never ever got that love back. In fact, the last phone conversation they've ever had was in 1997, I believe. He had called him on the phone, and they were in separate prisons. And Otis finally put his heart out there. You guys are like, this is so sad.
I'm tearing up.
If it wasn't a serial killer, I would feel bad. So I don't know how I should feel.
I mean, I kind of still do feel bad because unrequited love is my jam, but continue your story.
He's put his heart out there before to Henry, but this time he really let it all out. And he was just hoping for something. He didn't get it. Henry didn't give it back to him, and then he dies right after. Otis dies. Otis dies of liver failure.
And heartbreak.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's so hard to let your feelings out there, especially when you have been through such traumatic events with someone, and even if
such as murdering people together.
Exactly.
It creates a real bond.
It does. Like, you can't talk about it with anyone else. And even if it wasn't murder, like if you've been through, like if you have these feelings for someone and you've been holding them in, and like if they've just kind of just been dismissed, it's painful, and you just want to tell the world how you feel about someone, and you can't do that, and it's sad.
About this guy?
Yes.
You can tell his left eye. He's like Left Eye, that singer, Left Eye.
Left Eye Lopez.
Yeah. Lisa, she's dead.
Yep.
Besides, this guy is a psychopathic serial killer.
I
not
mean,
like
there's a lid to every pot.
So they were bouncing around, literally Bonnie and Clyde style, around the southern states. They've hit all of the southern states. In fact, okay, I didn't verify this, but my mom told me a few times growing up that my grandfather actually had a run-in with Otis Toole.
No way.
Yeah, they were like chasing him through the pasture.
In the farm?
Yeah.
In South Carolina, the
yeah,
one in Gilbert.
South Carolina. No, not in Gilbert, in Saluda, where they live.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
The one that we've been to.
Yeah. Through that
Whoa.
pasture farm.
Whoa.
Wait, what about Oklahoma? Because some people say that Oklahoma is not the South, and some people say that
It ain't the
is.
South.
It's the Midwest.
Well, some people say it's part of the South.
There's only 4 southern states, Jen. You got South Carolina. We don't count Florida. You got Georgia, Alabama, and then Louisiana. That's the South.
Okay, I'm just saying. I'm
Okay.
not saying that it
That's
is.
it.
I've
I
just
didn't know
heard,
that.
I have just heard that people have said that it's part of the South because you go with the Mason-Dixon line. Now, I am not arguing for or against. I was just asking.
Texas ain't the South because that's their own thing.
You know,
That's
that's
their
the
own
Texas
country. All right, so
United
anyway,
state of Texas.
all right, let's get this going. They're bouncing around the southern states killing people because they love to kill people. They love it. And they're having sex. And the book that we're reading, which we're going to talk about in a second, goes into grave detail about all the sex they're having with each other.
We can skip that part.
They end up in Jacksonville, and they bounce around. They're staying with Otis's family. He's got an older sister named Drusilla. It's like Dracula.
Omar's mom is Drusilla.
Really?
I know someone that
Yes.
goes by Drew, whose middle name is Drusilla.
She goes by Drew, but her name is Drusilla.
Well, the person I know, that Drusilla is her middle name, but she chooses to go by Drew instead of her first name.
Drusilla is her fucking first name.
Drusilla, which I've
Cruella
never...
DeVille, right? That's what that reminds you
Reminds
of.
me of
Yeah,
Priscilla.
Yeah.
Where does Scylla even come from? That has to
I
be a
don't
root
know.
of name.
I don't know, but it's starting to itch. Syphilis? Oh. All right. So Drusilla has 2 children. They're actually twins.
I had never heard of another Drusilla. This is amazing.
I didn't know that you knew a Drusilla.
Yeah.
The twins' name is Frank and Frida. Frida is the 10-year-old girl that Henry Lucas falls deeply in love with. Now, Henry Lee Lucas, as we'll see, this isn't the first child that he's deflowered, if you will.
Raped. I think you got to use the word raped
Yes.
when it's
Oh,
When it's
Child.
a rape, well, yeah.
I mean, just sure, yes, he took her virginity, but it was a rape. It's not
Yes.
like this was a romantic
this
2
was
16-year-olds having consensual sex.
this kind of was because
No, it wasn't.
I
She
know,
was a
I'm not-
child.
You
No,
can't
I-
consent when you're 10 years old.
I get it, but I'm going to tell you, Becky falls in love with Henry Lee Lucas. That's
Wait,
what
I
I'm
thought
trying
you
to
said
say.
her name was Frida.
Her name is Frida. However, as soon as Henry Lee Lucas meets her, he starts calling her Becky. Now, this
Weird.
is a thing that child abductors do. It's something in the psychology. They call them by a different name, something about when they take them out in public, something like that. I didn't really go
Yeah.
deep into it.
Makes sense.
But
Yeah.
this is a thing they do. They change the name, and then once the child starts responding to that new name, it's harder for them to get caught.
But
So-
she fell in love with him because it's Stockholm syndrome.
I don't know why she fell in love with him.
Maybe because her uncle loved him, and so she decided to love
She
him.
only
No, it sounds like Stockholm syndrome.
I mean, for
Like,
sure.
well, so
Can
her.
you really like fall in love with someone at 10?
Well, all right. Here's
No, I didn't know what that was at 10 years old.
I mean, I loved someone at 10 years old.
at 10 years old, we were in what grade?
5th.
5th. So you have like crushes.
Yeah,
but
you
not,
had
like,
crushes.
You don't meet your true love at
no. I never had.
10.
I mean, there was a lot of people crushed on me,
Uh-huh.
but it's like get in line, yo. The hell?
I have
You see
Resident
this?
Evil 1.
I'm so lucky. I'm the first one to have PlayStation.
this is a dynamic that I want you to think about. Otis is completely fallen in love with Henry, but now Henry is falling in love with his 10-year-old niece.
That's awkward.
Okay.
On so many levels. It's just bad and awkward.
She eventually rides with them in the murder, and they're doing a tour, like a tour of America, murdering people. It's like this whole thing they're doing.
Like
traveling.
how you collect the different quarters for each state, or you get a souvenir from each state. They just kill someone in each state.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
In 1981, so this is right after they got there, the mother is found by the two kids, Frank and Becky, Frida, hanging in her apartment by her neck, by her noose around her neck. It turned out that she committed suicide. If you want to believe that, I don't think that happened. I think Henry Lee Lucas killed her. But that's just my opinion. But her official cause of death was she took her own life. The children walked in and found their mother hanging.
That's terrible. Kind of like The Wire with D'Angelo Barksdale.
After that,
I'm so glad you're watching this.
I was so fucking pissed when he died too. You talking about the one that was in the library? Oh man. But you can't be snitching, yo.
He didn't snitch.
Yeah, but he was going to.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, he was going to help the law.
It don't matter. That's why you get strung
it.
up.
Oh my God, stop it. You don't...
Snitches get stitches, yo.
Shut up.
You sound like Bodie.
Okay. In 1981, like I said, the mother hangs herself. The children find the body. 1982 right after that is when Frida, Becky, falls deeply in love with Henry. And also in 1982, the three of them flee Florida. Now, the son, because there was a twin son, ended up in a mental hospital.
Oh, poor thing.
They basically left him at the house alone. The cops came and got him, and he was so messed up from seeing his own mom hanging there that he's put in a mental institution. These three are now fleeing Florida, which I'm going to tell you why, and they're on a killing spree. They leave Florida and they're going on this murder tour together, all three of them. However, Otis Toole gets really sick. He's got liver problems, liver failure. He's been an alcoholic since he was like 4, literally. He's been drinking since a kid. He's got liver problems. They drop him off at the hospital. Now, this is not what he wants because he's in complete love with Henry. The two of them, Becky and Henry, they drive up to Maryland and they get married, if you will. She lasted till 16 years old.
Does that mean he killed her?
She was 15 years old when they were officially living in Maryland. And up there, she was, he actually got a real job in a scrapyard trying to do right, I guess. And she found out because he got arrested for 3 months for molesting another little girl. And he was put up in a prison, and she was actually extradited back to Florida. Quote, he drew out his machete and set to work, severing each of the limbs at the joints, taking off her head and burying it by the roadside before heading out into the big dark emptiness to scatter the other parts to the wind. It wasn't Becky, not anymore. The cops actually find her head, and they start finding, they're looking, they find her other body parts, her arms, and they're all spread across the interstate. All right, now let's get to his childhood, because that's what we want to talk about. All right, I'll go through this kind of quick. Henry Lee Lucas was born on August 23rd, 1936. He was born on the raw dirt floor of the family's log cabin. Okay, this is not my childhood. I was born in 86. He was born in Blacksburg, Virginia, in the woods in Blacksburg, Virginia. There was no plumbing or electricity in the cabin.
I believe we have been to Blacksburg, Virginia, and it's on the...
Have we?
Driving up north.
Oh, when we went in the RV?
Mm-hmm.
Did we stop there?
I believe we did.
There was no plumbing and in the cabin, no electricity. He spent most of his childhood, however, not in the cabin, but in the chicken coop outside.
Oh.
All right. He actually gnawed on wood in the chicken cabin and ate a lot of the chicken droppings.
So he was like completely feral. Like he was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And actually, that's a really good point. I have a quote in here that one of the teachers called him something to do with feral. I'll say that in a minute. But anyway, he was gnawing on the wood, which back then it had lead in it. So he started suffering from poison disorders, lead poisoning and cadmium poisoning from eating chicken shit out in a chicken coop. Okay, you can pretty much surmise that he did not have a great family life as far as his mom and dad. They literally banned him into the chicken coop, right?
Almost like Harry Potter, but the Virginia version.
The cupboard under the stairs.
By his teenage years, the cadmium smell actually seeped out of his pores, and that would remain for the rest of his life, especially...
What does that smell like?
I don't know. I never ate chicken shit.
Apparently.
What they were describing is very stingy, very vinegary, like especially the stuff coming out of his eyeball. It almost burns your nostrils. You know, like what do you like? Apple cider vinegar, almost. Like,
I thought you were gonna say Sex Panther.
Or like an ammonia almost.
Yeah, like an ammonia.
So wait, so he was like in the chicken coop through his teens?
Yeah,
Like,
no, since he was a little boy, he lived in the chicken coop.
Did he have any siblings that like?
Yeah, he had
Did they live in chicken
nearly
coops?
40 siblings.
What?
Did they
Okay.
all live in chicken coops?
Someone was busy.
Okay, so he had to be seated next to the window in school. So obviously he's bullied because of the smell. The school actually complains about the smell. The mother goes down to the school. She is just completely pissed at him about the smell, even though it's not his fault. She goes into a rage. She drags him when she gets home. She drags him down by the small pond on the property. She strips him naked. She molests him and then holds his head underwater. She then beat him unconscious and threw him back in the chicken coop, saying, quote, "They wants him to be a pretty smelling little girl, then that's what we'll give him." She finds a dress that was supposed to be for one of her daughters, and she makes Henry go to school the next day in the dress.
That's terrible. But can I ask, and I'm not saying that I don't necessarily believe him, but whose account was it that she molested him? Because if it's his account, can we believe it?
Yeah, all of his siblings were also... Yeah, just hold on. Well, actually, let me
Good
go to...
question.
That's a really good question. Let me just go on that right now. Let me just talk about the mother, and you can decide for yourself. The mother, all of her sons and daughters moved far away from her as they possibly could. Her name was Viola. She was 50 years old when Henry Lucas was born.
Ooh.
She was still working as the town prostitute.
Oh.
That would explain the 40 other siblings.
They were all
But
step.
still, like,
Every one of them were.
it's got to be part the dad.
Yeah, hopefully.
9
No,
months
no,
times 40 doesn't add up.
The father, well, to say that the father was an alcoholic and he became employed when he was working on the railroads because he got so hammered that he laid down across the track, severing both of his legs. The father, his name is Anderson, it was confined to a wheelchair. The mother, Viola, would push him in the corner because all he had was a broomstick. So think of this old man with a broomstick pushing himself around in this log cabin. And the mother would kick him in the corner and make him watch her as she had sex with her clients.
That's cruel.
The father never had sex with Viola after this. All the children were stepchildren. So these
Just
are...
of Viola.
Yeah, he had his... Well,
40 is still mathematically impossible. If it's just...
Unless it's twins.
no, she was 50 when she had Henry. 50 years old when she had Henry.
I know,
Right,
but
you're gonna
9
be, like,
months,
14
40
when you can
years.
start
that's
conceiving
a-
on average.
As a baby a year, she would have to have kids from the age that she was 13 to 60.
It says here, the mother gave birth
I guess...
to over 30 plus bastard children. That's exact from the police reports. That's what it says.
Holy shit.
Now,
she had to have twins and triplets.
Ryan Green in his book says,
Yes.
the book that Ryan Green wrote says, quote, "Every day that her genitalia were out of commission due to yet another unwanted baby was a day that the family was losing the pittance of money that she got paid for sex, typically about 10 cents per customer." That's fucking cheap.
Well, that's in the 40s.
That's still cheap. Now, the mother was a a demon, a literal demon. She would not only push her husband in the corner and make him watch her having sex, she denied him the one thing that he looked forward to or needed to survive. Alcohol. He was an alcoholic. She would not even give him that. So he is completely useless, can't do anything by himself, has to watch his own wife with all these customers, and then he can't even get drunk. That shit sucks.
Well, she had long been using emasculation as a tool to control her husband. Every time she had a client come calling, she would prop her husband up in a corner of the room and make him watch. The campaign of abuse that she had inflicted on both Henry and his father to keep them in their place was relentless. She insisted that both of them watch as she serviced her clients, sometimes dressing up Henry as a girl and threatening to rent him out alongside herself.
Henry was hardly fed. The mother didn't work for his food. That was hers to keep. He could eat chicken shit if he wanted. He gets caught stealing scraps, and he's beaten mercilessly for stealing even table scraps. The entire town hated Henry. They were seen as the family that, if you drop out of school, you end up like them Lucas kids, inbred and whatever. That was the family that people would warn their kids about. Okay.
That's sad.
So he wasn't necessarily bullied, but he was ostracized by the entire town. The entire town.
I think I'd rather be bullied than ostracized.
Yeah.
Not that I would want to pick being bullied. That's terrible. I'm just saying. At least, if you're bullied, people interact with you.
His only friend in town was this local mule. His animal mule, right?
I was going to say drug mule. Or...
No, and the farmer that owned it had pity for Henry and actually gave Henry the mule.
That's
so
nice.
One day he's walking home with this little rope attached to the mule's neck, and he's all happy. I'll get to play with you, stuff like that. The mom walks outside with a shotgun.
No.
And she shoots them, and this is from the book, she shot the mule right in the face. Henry was sprayed with blood. In 1949, the winter of 1949, after the father can't take it anymore, he can't even have alcohol, the one thing he needs to stay sane. It was the winter, it was extremely cold. Now, he's got no legs, so he's pushing himself on a broomstick, and the cabin has stairs. So he pushes himself out of the cabin doors when everyone is asleep, and he kind of throws himself off of the stairs in his wheelchair, and he crawls as far as he can. He's going to kill himself. He's going to get... This is fucked.
This is a sad story.
He's going to get out of this shit, right? He was nearly dead when the kids found him. And he never regained consciousness after that, and he died, a few weeks later in the hospital. That was it. He completed his mission. He finally got rid of his situation. Henry Lucas has brain damage, really bad, and a lot of serial killers that we cover had some sort of brain trauma as a child. Henry was out in the backyard. I believe he was painting a fence or something. And the mother runs out of nowhere of something Henry did wrong, and she picks up a 2x4 when Henry's not looking and smacks him as hard as she can, all of her weight forcefully on the back of Henry Lee Lucas's neck. Now, he's 10 years old at the time, on the back of his head, knocks him completely unconscious. She leaves him there. In the morning, she calls him because she needs some more stuff to do to clean the house or whatever, and he's still laying there on the ground. So she runs over there and starts kicking him in the ribs and breaks some of his ribs. She's kicking him so hard. She thinks he's dead, so she just leaves him there. Her pimp, Uncle Bernie, is actually the one that saved this 10-year-old's life. He puts him in the back of his pickup truck, the pimp does, and brings him to the hospital. Okay. The medical staff were surprised that this kid was even alive at all. He woke up, and when he did wake up weeks later, he was different. He was slower somehow, they noticed. The doctors scanned his brain, and they said he had, quote, extensive brain damage, and that he had oxygen-deprived retardation. That was what they put in their notes. All right, after the brain damage, from now on, constant seizures. His eyes would roll to the back of his head. He'll foam at the mouth. If you watch the interviews of him, you can notice it too. He does these little yips and scream, like yip, yip, kind of, like ticks almost.
Huh.
They, at the time, they diagnosed him as having grand mal seizures. Okay. He would have violent convulsions. And this is from the book. It says, quote, 1 minute he would be fine. The next he would be flopping around the ground, helpless and lost in the black static of his own brain. Henry Lucas only has one eye. His left eye is completely gone, as you saw in the pictures. Mm-hmm. And out of that eye comes this stingy, pungent smell that he can never get rid of. In fact, it had bacteria in it, and he didn't actually get it cleaned of the infection. It was infected.
His eye?
Yeah, for years. It was infected. And his mother never took him to the hospital. He finally got his eye socket cleaned out and a glass eye put in when he had his first prison stay. And then the medical staff made him get it cleaned out, and then they gave him a glass eye. That was the only time. He didn't even have an eye patch. It was just a hole in his head. And this is how it happened. He would occasionally lose his connection between his mind and body after the brain damage, after his mom hit him with a 2x4. And he was walking outside, and he's very sloppy when he walks. You can tell in the videos, because he doesn't have that instant connection, with your brain and your body. Mm-hmm. He stumbles out of the cabin doors, and the deck at the time was completely rotten. I mean, it's still, obviously, it's probably not even there, but it was completely rotted out. He falls through the deck, and there was an exposed rusty nail about 6 inches that was sticking out of the bottom of the deck. And his ass fell right on it, went right through his eye socket and into his brain.
Oh my gosh.
Now, he's still 10.
That's like Phineas Gage, but not a railroad spike.
He is still 10 years old. He's 10 years old when this happens.
Oh my goodness.
Now, the teacher was sympathetic for Lucas. She actually felt really sorry for him. But there was one instant where there was two boys behind him making jokes. Not about him. No one would make jokes about him.
Oh, okay.
Because the Lucas boys, and there was 30 plus of them,
all boys?
And girls too. Okay. They would, they were like, you see like Children of the Corn, they have knives and they'll fucking kill you. They don't give a shit. Look at them. Anyway, there were two boys joking about something, and the teacher got pissed. She's like, shut the fuck up. She took a ruler and threw it at the boys behind Henry.
Oh my gosh.
But she missed and hit Henry instead, if you want to read this.
Oh.
She turned and flung a ruler at the boy. She missed. The little slip of the wood hammered into Henry's empty eye socket and stuck there.
Oh, no.
He screamed like
That's
a pig
terrible.
being skinned alive. She had to twist it to get it loose.
Oh, no.
Jesus.
Oh, my God. That's terrible. But I want to laugh, but I don't because it's really sad.
She twisted it and then pulled it out. Now, this is where the smell comes from. From now on, his eyeball would leak these, quote, milky white tears and have a putrid smell. Ugh. Okay, one more thing. One more thing about his childhood growing up. I thought this was...
yes, I'm going to need to get another drink.
I thought this was interesting. The father... Now, Henry's 14 years old, and the father's now dead. Okay, he would hang out with his stepbrothers because they were family, right? And the stepbrothers would always hunt small animals, squirrels and rabbits. And he was like, man, I want to do this so bad with you guys. It seems fun. What do you guys actually do? You guys don't eat them, or, you just throw them back dead, or like, what do you do after, He found out that his brothers were killing dead squirrels and rabbits because they wanted to have sex with him. And if you... What's wrong?
This gets worse and worse. Like 14, that seems like a good age for him to just, cease existing.
Yeah.
Poor thing.
It doesn't get any better.
It's not getting better.
Yeah.
I can only think of Thumper and Flower
getting
from
fucked.
Bambi.
Getting fucked by a deliverance.
Stop!
Shit.
It was Henry who discovered that slitting the throat of an animal was Just as he was approaching his orgasm, led it to bucking around in a particularly thrilling way. And it was Henry who proved time and time again that it was quite happy to go on fucking an animal after it was dead. Okay, I need to go get another drink now.
When Henry Lee Lucas turns 15 years old, him and his cousins, or his stepbrothers, would drive through Richmond, Virginia, and they started robbing stores and breaking and entering into houses, stealing jewelry and fencing them off. So that now they have money, and money is what makes women attracted to men. That's scientifically proven.
I mean, it's
Money makes
not
the world go
inaccurate.
Money makes the world go round.
So at 15 years old, Henry Lee Lucas is popular because he's the only one with a car. And he actually had dates. So let's talk about his first date.
Oh.
All right.
Oh, God.
I feel like we don't want to hear
I
this.
know. He's like, it's with a squirrel.
No, well, his first date was with a girl in school. And he really liked her a lot. And he seemed like a pretty sweet kid. He was 15 years old. She was actually using him because of his car and because he had money so she can go to the movies and to Sonic drive-in or whatever.
Fucking love Sonic.
Oh, it is so good.
Now,
I've never been to Sonic.
I will have
That
to
is
stop.
something you have to do while you're still down
We
here.
just stop
There
on
is
the way
one
back.
like probably half an hour from my house.
Yeah, in Swansea.
Oh,
Yes,
so good. A cherry limeade and a soft pretzel, girl. That's all you need.
All right, tomorrow, Jen, we're
Deal.
Sonicking it up.
That's fine.
This date, when Henry was 15, is the first time he's actually lost his virginity. And I'm not talking about into,
But with a squirrel.
what was that squirrel's name? That rabbit you're talking about?
Thumper.
Thumper. Not Thumper.
Thumper was a rabbit.
Thumper.
Flower was the skunk.
Not pumping the thumping. The thumper.
No.
Pumper thumper. I'm talking about with an actual female.
Okay.
Thumper pumper, you mean?
When he was 15, he actually loses his virginity. But here's the thing. They go to an abandoned wooded area
Oh, no.
and she refused.
Oh, good for her.
Okay, so he rapes a woman and that's how he loses his virginity.
So she refused, and Henry Lee Lucas gives her an ultimatum. An old tomato. That's what I like to call him. Ultimato. He gives her an ultimatum, and she says, "Nope, I'm not going to do it." And so he says, "Fine." And then he goes for her throat.
Oh, no.
So if you want to read this is how he loses his virginity for the first time.
Oh, no. Was she dead already?
Once she was dead, he made a swift work of her underwear, slicing it off and tossing it aside. He was intimately familiar with the mechanics of sex, having spent much of his life in a front row seat of a whorehouse, and it didn't take him long before he was happily humping away at the still warm corpse.
Oh, no.
Now, not only did he lose his virginity to a teenage girl's corpse, he also enjoyed it quite a bit, and this is his MO from now on. He doesn't want to have sex with you while you're alive, at least. He likes it when you're dead. Not just a lot of killers will kill and then it's like, oh, fuck it, I guess I'll go ahead and do this anyway. He prefers it. Remember all the squirrels and stuff and Thumper? They were dead. So in his first time he's losing his virginity, she was dead. So
he doesn't even know. Like, he could be with a woman that was alive and it would be lovely. But he's like, this worked.
Yeah,
And the rabbits were good, so...
But, like,
upgrade, perhaps.
Does it count, though? Does it count if she's not alive? Sounds really
as
intensive.
someone with, like, a
Christ.
moral code, I would say no. But, you know...
I don't even know how to classify this fucked up shit.
That's, it just makes me want to be sick. That makes me so upset.
the girl who is still completely unknown may have been Laura Burnley, but nobody is sure. She was a 17-year-old that went missing. Even Henry didn't even remember her name.
Well, that's terrible.
That's, like, even worse.
Yeah, and she was never found because he just dumped her out in the woods there, and this was, forever ago, so...
And he was 15.
15, yeah. Let's talk about his first prison stay. we're getting through his. We're going to talk about. He actually gets married once, and then we'll talk about Otis because his story is fun.
Even better.
His first prison stay, he was arrested in 1954, several counts of burglary. He got 6 years in prison at the Beaumont Training School for Boys, but the staff described him there as, quote, a boy gone feral, end quote.
Oh. There you go, Kendra.
He escapes the juvie center because he's still under 18. He escapes after just 1 month. He climbs over the wall. He goes home to his mother's house, to Viola's house. He always has this affinity with his mom. And he always just keeps going back to her, as you're about to see. Even though she beats the fuck out of him, she molests him. All of his stepbrothers, they actually made it a point to move far away across the country. A lot of them live in like California and stuff, just so they don't have to be anywhere near the mother. She was awful to all of them. So Henry, being the youngest of the bunch and the most easily persuadable, I guess, goes back to Viola's home after after he escaped from the juvie center. There, he finds one of his niece living there, the 12-year-old niece living there. He takes this niece, this 12-year-old, behind the chicken coop, and he rapes her. A day after this, he was picked up by the local sheriff who was looking for the escaped juvie that jumped the wall. He's sent to adult prison after he's picked up from the sheriff. This is when he finds out that he actually loves prison. So if you go back to the confessions, I mean, I'd rather be in prison. He's getting fed. Yep. He's not eating chicken shit. He's not gnawing on lead paint. You know what I'm saying? He's actually got pretty good friends in there. It's kind of like Trailer Park Boys when, what's his name, was like, I like prison, man. Like, prison's fun time, you know, get in there, clear your mind.
Don't be disingenuous.
Yeah. So he actually loves prison. And this is the first time he actually got his glass eye, which was good. And the first time that he's found out that he didn't know men could have sex before with each other. He just never put it two and two together that, I could have sex with a man. Because if he would have thought that, he would have tried it with his cousins and his brothers, but they just never thought about it. So he decides, I can have sex with men. That's great. I get sex all I want. He became the most popular inmate in the prison.
Because he wanted to have sex?
Yeah, because everyone was just going through him, you know? He was paroled at 23 for good behavior, and in 1959, he goes to stay with his half-sister in Michigan. He goes up to Michigan, and he meets, through his pen pal network in prison, a girl named Stella. Now, Stella is one of those ladies that likes the prison love life, and she's done this before. And shout out to one of our supporters, Dee. Her daughter's name's Stella. I don't know if you know that.
That's right. We did our surprise shop for her.
Stella.
For Stella? Oh, for Dee.
Well, for Dee today.
Now, this is from the papers about this Stella right here that he married. She was repulsive. She was also an alcoholic, and she wanted a man to provide for her. He actually goes and gets an honest job with honest pay. And he proposes down on one knee, I want to become a changed man, I want to marry you. Once Viola, the mother, found out that her baby boy was getting married, she flipped, and she drives all the way down to Michigan, and she stops the wedding.
She pushed past Stella and took a hold of Henry's shirt.
What are you thinking, boy? What filthy little thoughts are slamming around in that head of yours?
He couldn't even meet her eye.
I'm getting married, Mama.
Ain't no woman gonna ever marry you. You're a scum. Girls would toss out their boots if they got smeared on them. Nobody ever loved a child, dirty bastard like you, Henry Lee. Not nobody.
She leaned in close enough that he could smell her foul breath.
Not once I tell them about what you did. Once they know who you are, ain't nobody is ever gonna love you.
For the first time in months, his missing eye began to weep.
Mama, please.
Please? I don't remember you never saying please to me before. Don't remember you saying please to me. None of them animals, them children you put your dirty little pecker into, neither. Did you think I didn't know, Henry? Do you think I didn't know what you were up to, you filthy little bastard, you monster?
I thought that was interesting.
So great.
That's from Ryan Green's
It's a talent,
book.
Jen. It is.
I'm getting married, Mama. I wasn't good.
Okay, well, that's just like your normal Southern voice.
Okay. Stella's there. They're happily. He's about to start anew and be a happy man. She starts punching and slapping him in the face. Stella leaves. She's like, I can't deal with this. It's over. You got
What are other wedding guests doing? Like, if I was just sitting there and like Mama just came up and was like beating the shit out of the
Nowadays,
kid,
it'd be on YouTube.
What is it? Death Star? That they put all the fights on?
Oh,
not Death Star.
World
that's
Star Hip Hop or
World
something?
Star. Yeah, what's Death Star? That's Star Wars.
So he never saw Stella again, and he became a literal alcoholic that night. He started chugging liquor, whiskey, whatever. He goes back to his sister who he is staying with. The mom shows up as he's passed out sleeping. The mom shows up. She spits on him in his bedroom, starts kicking him. Henry finally snaps, pulls out a knife, sticks it right in her throat, his own mother's throat. Yeah.
I guess I would be upset too if my mom interrupted my wedding like that.
Now, here's the thing. The knife wound didn't actually kill her. It actually barely, and they use the word like nicked. It nicked her artery just very slightly. So here's what happened. He hits the knife into the mother's neck. It nicks her neck. His sister wasn't there that night. She was working, so she won't be home for a little bit. Henry storms out, and he leaves. The mother is bleeding out drip by drip because it barely nicked her artery. So the whole night...
But it did nick her artery.
8 hours go by. She is dying on the floor as blood is dripping until she's finally dead. So she kind of gets what she deserves. However, Henry gets 40 years in prison for this. And he could parole in 20, which he does, even though he tells the doctor, he's sent to Southern Michigan State Prison, and he tells the doctor, I don't want to parole. If you parole me, I'll kill someone tonight. They parole him anyway. They say, we can't do anything. The prisons are overcrowded. He actually tells the doctor, if you parole me, I'll put a body on your doorstep.
Wow.
What?
He kills 2 women not even a mile from that prison the day he's let out. And those are proven.
Wow. He really didn't want to be let out of prison.
Well,
Okay.
3 squares in a cot, you know.
Yeah.
Now, from now on, he's going to try multiple times in prison to kill himself because his mother, he had such a weird attachment to his mother. He's diagnosed with, quote, schizoid delusions. And they actually try to electroshock therapy his brain, which makes things better for him.
Totally.
He's released for prison within 10 years of serving a 40-year sentence of overcrowding. Like I said, he tells the prison a psychiatrist, quote, I will leave a body on your doorstep, end quote. August 22nd, 1970, they kick him out of prison, even though he doesn't want to go. He goes to a local bar a mile down the road. He's drinking, and he finds 2 other women that also like to drink. So he kills them, and then he has sex with both of their bodies. And he spent 10 years in prison. He was also, what I forgot to mention, in prison, he was given access to criminal files. So he actually learned how to do this. Like, oh, this guy got caught because they identified the dental records. Okay, well, I'll just start cutting the head off and, that type of stuff. So now he's a full-blown trained killer, and he knows how to get around this stuff and kill people. So that first night, he kills 2 bar patrons and chops their heads off and has sex with their bodies after that. Fucking crazy, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yes,
for sure.
I would say so.
I'm gonna skip his second marriage because it's getting way too long. But he does get married a second time. They live in a trailer park in Maryland, but she kicks him out after her name is Betty. He was doing the right thing. I'm a construction worker. She kicks him out after her 12-year-old daughter, she is changing the sheets and finds blood on the sheets. And immediately knows that he did that to her daughter.
Yeah.
So he is standing, he's now kicked out, nowhere to go. He ends up in Florida in 1978 in a local soup kitchen in Florida. He's homeless, broke, he's an alcoholic, he's got nobody to count on. His mother's dead. He's standing behind a 6'8" man who would fall in love with him forever. His name was Otis Toole. So I'm going to stop it here for this episode, and we'll get to that one on the next episode. Is that cool?
Yep.
Look forward to that. And if that's all, I don't have anything else. My name is John. Until next time, good night, you lovely, lovely people.